Welcome back to another episode, Wednesday edition of Hawk Talk here on 91.7 The Edge, WSUW Whitewater. I'm your host, Carson Storm. Alongside me is my esteemed crew, Mikey, Jacob, Hunter, and Mason. Unfortunately, no Bruno today. He is a little under the weather, so we wish him the best of luck in his recovery. But speaking about a cold, how about this weather, guys? Do you enjoy it? It's a little chilly out.
No, I kind of like it a little bit.
When
it's not, when wind isn't relentlessly pelting me in the face.
Yeah, that's true.
Give me the weather we had 3 weeks ago, man. I missed the summer.
Oh my gosh, dude.
I mean, when it was like 110
I love the
out,
fall.
it was brutal.
Dude,
Oh,
yeah,
man,
that's
I
what I'm
love it.
saying, dude. I like a little bit of chill, but I mean, after this little bit of breezy weather,
100%.
I could use some heat. What about you, Hunter and Mason? What do you guys think about this weather?
It's getting really cold, and it's just a sign that winter's coming. So
Oh my
I don't know how I'm
gosh.
going to get here without my bike. That's going to be a long, cold walk.
Yeah, it's
so
a brutal walk. Be
West
ready for
Wells
it.
to here. Whew.
Ooh, yeah.
long walk.
Yeah.
It's not as bad from Six Pack to here, though,
Yeah.
from Area Fricker.
Thank goodness I'm
Yeah.
a fricker, so
Oh,
I get the good dorm besides Pulliam, I guess.
Yeah.
Pulliam's definitely prime, but it's what it is.
yeah, that is true. But we're not here to talk about the weather. We're here to talk about some sports, and we're going to start with our Warhawk thought. What is one sports player in history that you would like to spend an entire day with? You know, just for some like quality bonding, just to hang out with. And we're going to start with Mason. Who's your player that you'd like to be buddies with in a day?
You know, so okay. Just a quick qualifying question.
Yeah.
If we do an activity, do I have to use my money or matter of fact, okay, I'll just go with it.
Trying
use
to leech off of him?
I have two main picks and they're actually both from the same team. I got to go back to that old Bulls team, either Dennis Rodman or Michael Jordan.
Oh yeah,
So the
dude.
reason why I was
Dennis
asking the
Rodman would be so
qualifying
fun to hang
questions,
with.
right? Because Dennis Rodman, he gets like Paul. Okay. He does a lot of interesting things. At first, I was going to say he gets around. I was like, okay. But, you know, he seems like he's a good time. Pause if needed. But, you know, he's all over the place. He gets into all type of different hijinks and side missions and stuff like that. And then Michael Jordan, you know, I've always kind of wanted to see just like that's why I said, can I use his money? Because he's a big gambling guy. So I don't want to, you know, bet against him. I'm a competitive guy, too. See what I could do. Lose a little bit of his money, you know, stuff like that.
Go to Michigan
Just
with
get
him. Go to the
some
casino.
fun stuff like that.
We do not condone gambling.
Gamble responsibly. Yeah.
Text the number that I don't remember what it is.
No,
Yes.
okay, no. But yeah, Dennis Rodman is a choice that I had in my back stall just in case my first guy got picked. But I respect the choice. Jacob, your guy?
I was gonna go Dennis Rodman.
Oh my
I
gosh.
would say that Vegas trip during the NBA playoffs is very infamous. I would have loved to be there and explore Vegas with Dennis Rodman. But now that I got to pick someone else, I think I might go lounge around, maybe toss the football around Jay Cutler.
Oh,
Smoking
yeah,
Jay.
you do like Jay Cutler, yeah.
Smoking Jay.
Yeah, one of the few Bears players I actually like, yeah. I respect that.
Greatest Bears quarterback of all time so far.
Yep.
So far.
Yeah, Caleb Williams
After
could be
this
coming for that
season,
spot.
I think it might be Caleb Williams. I don't know. He's had a couple of good weeks.
I mean, people are saying Mac Jones was the next Tom Brady after his
Oh
rookie year.
no!
Whoa.
Remember that?
He had a downfall though. I'll be honest. I don't know
Hey,
what
it
happened
could,
to
it could
him.
happen to Caleb. You know, Allen leaving, possibly. I don't know Keenan Allen's contract. I don't remember what it is.
Keenan Allen's under contract for another year after this.
Oh, he is?
So,
So
I mean,
maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But they got a young
knows?
core.
Yeah.
You never know.
That they do. Mikey, your player.
I'm not going to really go with a player. And a lot of people might not consider this a sport because it's scripted or fake, as people call it. But I think chilling with John Cena.
Oh my
would be
gosh,
so
dude!
nice,
I was gonna pick him too.
Really?
That is another. Yeah, dude.
I know some people don't consider it a sport because it's fake, but dude, I think John Cena would be amazing to hang around, dude.
He is a really inspirational,
He's-
funny,
no,
cool guy.
and
Yeah.
he's like one of the athletes that was from the ground up, like living in his car, and now is where he is now in Hollywood.
It's a
and
very
all that.
inspirational story. Yeah.
Well, 100%. I'd say John Cena.
One of the most humble guys out there. Yeah. Very respectable. Hunter.
I'm just gonna have to go with a guy who's playing today. Very funny, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Oh,
He's
yep.
absolutely hilarious. Watching his interviews, with
Yes.
the press, His jokes are hilarious. I would love to just hang with him for a day. I mean, he was so funny after he won the NBA Finals on Instagram Live and everything. So.
Oh yeah.
I would
I
love
love
to hang
hanging
with
with him
Giannis.
until he brings the bell out. Then you just got to get out of there.
Yeah.
ASAP.
I feel like most of the people in Wisconsin would probably choose Giannis to hang out with for a day. But-
Definitely. Or Jordan Love.
or Jordan Love, or even Jair
Yeah, I was
Alexander.
gonna say Jair.
Yeah.
Alexander.
Jair would be
He
funny
seems
hanging
cool.
with.
He's
seems
a
cool.
he's a funny guy, man. But my player is not from Wisconsin. Has not played for. It's Jameis Winston. I think he's just such an electric human being, and his pep talks and everything, and his emotes are so funny. His post-game interviews are incredible too, and he just seems like a really energetic guy. So I feel like there's a lot of stuff that we could do in a day. But that's going to be the Warhawk thought. And with that being said, we're going to move right into the first topic of the day, the first big one, the NBA countdown. Now, the NBA season is just around the corner. I believe it's 6 days out from starting. And we're going to touch base with it. We're going to give our little insight on the season, who you guys think is going to be the best team. Can the Celtics repeat? Will the Bucks be able to thrive in year 2 with Dame and Giannis? And then, if time, some hot takes that you guys have. So with this topic, we're going to start. I'm going to throw it over to Mikey, actually. Who do you think is the team to beat this season? Who are you most impressed with on paper?
I think it's an obvious pick to just go with the Celtics as the team.
Ew.
It's an obvious pick, yeah. But, they're coming off a win. They had a dominant year. Everyone hated on them, including me. I still hate them because they're the Celtics. It's fun to hate on any Boston team, really, besides,
Preach.
I don't know. I can't
No, there
think
is
of-
no except.
Yeah, I was
There's
about to say, I
no
don't think there
team.
is an exception.
There's
I was
no
going to say
team.
except the Red Sox, but honestly, they deserve it too, except for David Ortiz. And maybe Pedro Martinez as well.
Yeah.
But those would be the only two guys I could say. Maybe Julian Edelman.
Oh, Edelman, yeah. Edelman's up there,
But
yeah.
I think the Celtics are probably the best team on paper. You could arguably say the Knicks as well. The New York Knicks. They look phenomenal with Karl Anthony Towns
Yeah,
as
with that
well.
trade, yeah, that was a
With
big
that
trade.
I know a lot of people really like the Knicks this year, but I'm sticking with the Celtics as the team to beat, and probably I could see a repeat. I can definitely see it.
I don't know how you can see a repeat. I'll get into that later, but it's a wild take. In my opinion, that's a wild take to say. But
I don't really think the roster changed that much, did it?
Yeah, no, it didn't
not really,
I
but
didn't really pay
it's
attention.
incredibly hard to repeat.
I don't watch basketball as much as I used
Oh no,
to.
you're right though. I mean, the Celtics isn't a ridiculous pick.
Yeah.
Not at all, actually. I'm surprised you're so surprised at that take. I feel like that's a pretty safe option.
It's
very
safe.
safe and cool option. Not really
Yeah.
not really changing it up too much.
As of right now, it's safe, but it's really hard for a team to repeat.
That's fair. That's fair.
Within 60 years, I believe only 9 teams have repeated. Dating back to 1970, only a couple of teams, or only 9 teams have. So that's why I say
Celtics could make it.
they could make it 10,
That's
but
true.
kinda, even
And
though they're one of the
looking-
teams.
Oh, okay. You got. I was about to say, looking at it, their road didn't get extremely harder. They opened up the season against the Knicks. I forgot when that game is. Hopefully it didn't already happen and I sound like an idiot. But I'm pretty sure it didn't. But yeah, they opened up the season against the Knicks, and that is the team that seems like they were building the most to beat the Celtics. But when you look at the East, it doesn't seem like many other teams got better. Paul George just got injured already to start off the season for the 76ers.
Not
and Embiid
surprised.
is destined to get injured. The Bucks, we're still figuring things out, but hopefully we do. And then besides them, the Pacers gave them some push in the postseason last year, but at least in the East, the Celtics are the team to beat. So I don't see that being too ridiculous of a take.
yeah, they do have one of the best depths in basketball. So, I could see it, but then again, there's just the team is just getting more and more talented every year. So that's why I personally.
We did it! We did it!
That's just why I think it's going to be hard, and I'll get into that a little bit later.
Oh,
but
that's not my pick. I hate the Celtics with all my heart.
Yes,
But
Mason,
I do too,
yes.
I'm just saying that's not a ridiculous thing to say.
Oh no, yeah, it's respectable. I will say
Celtics
that.
hater. I am. Nothing really changed for them, and obviously the formula worked last year, and they dominated the league, so I wouldn't be too shocked if they did it again.
Yeah, that's
it's
fair.
Maybe
it's a
not the same
respectable.
dominance, but
Yeah.
I think I would say it's not that crazy to say repeats in order.
It's a respectable, safe pick. It's shameful for everybody in Wisconsin because, I mean, I think everyone in Wisconsin hates the Celtics. Just by a show of hands, who here has respect for the Celtics? Like, they actually... Oh, man.
All right, get off the show.
All right. That's
you.
it. You're cut. No, I'm joking. But, Jacob, who do you think's the team to beat this year? Do you think it's the Celtics still?
When you win, you're
Oh,
on top
yeah,
the
of
hill.
course you're gonna- yeah.
When you win the championship, you're on top of the hill until someone knocks you off. So that's,
Jacob.
I mean, the Celtics are the team to beat. Just to be a little bit different here, I think my dark horse to win the NBA championship this year is the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Oh, I like that pick.
That
I
was
like
gonna
that
be mine.
pick
If
a
I was a
lot.
betting man and if I was allowed to bet in the state of Wisconsin, that's what I would do.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean they're an extremely young team. Last year, they were top dog to talk about for the most part. I mean, a lot of people had them. I know on Hawk Talk, a lot of people had them winning it all. But
Morons.
What?
No ball knowledge if you thought they were winning.
I mean, dude, I don't
No ball
know.
knowledge.
I don't know what you're talking
you
about.
could just smell they were not going to make it that far. I could at least. I could just tell. And I don't watch basketball that much.
I mean,
just looked at them.
mid-season, dude, they looked pretty good for a young team. They got a lot of potential
Well,
going
that's
on.
why they were a young team, and it wasn't like a young team like Green Bay last year, who was a 7 seed, and walked into Dallas, house money on the line. You know, they got nothing to lose.
Good thing Green Bay isn't a basketball team.
But just as an example, but then you had the Thunder, who had everything to lose. They were a high seed. They were a team that had expectations, and they fell apart because of the expectations.
Well, they got Alex Caruso now, which I'm an Alex Caruso
Big
lover
guy.
as a Bears
Big
fan.
guy.
Of course, it was like a good 5-6 months after I got a Alex Caruso Bulls jersey for $40 at Marshalls.
Yep.
I'm gonna be upset about that forever.
No, I'm gonna miss Alex Caruso. I hope he does well with OKC. I think OKC's the team to beat this year.
Yeah, and they had a good showing from Chet Holmgren last year too. So that's another reason why I think that they're going to be. I mean, they just continue to be better and better with just such a young team. I think that young talent is so important in leagues like the NBA and the NHL because then you can build off of that potential. But you say OKC, I respect it. Mason, I'm very curious to see who you have to say if not the Celtics.
So, I mean, my answer actually was going to be the Thunder as well.
Bang.
But I mean, it's kind of boring to go back to back to talk about the same teams. So mine isn't necessarily going to be a team like the team to beat because I'd say the teams to beat probably are just the Thunder and the Celtics in each conference. I feel like the other teams around the league, the only team I saw make a drastic change to get better was, like I said, the Knicks. But I'm not sure that I'm confident in them going as far as like the Celtics would or being able to beat the Celtics. And then on the other side, the Thunder, I feel like they're probably the clear-cut best team in the West to me, at least right now. So I'm just going to give a shout-out to some teams that I think could be like when we talk about dark horse candidates to get there, I'm liking what I'm seeing. So as I mentioned before slightly, the Pacers are a fun team to watch. Their offense is getting better. That addition of Pascal Siakam has been meshing really well. And I feel like it's possible that Tyrese can take and maintain that leap that we saw from him at the beginning of the season to make that team continue to be a really good team. And I could see them making a good push because last time they got to the conference finals, they were right there. So that's definitely a team looking at. And then a super, super dark horse team that not enough people are talking about is the Orlando Magic. I feel like
yes.
I hate
Orlando
my team.
Magic.
I feel like Paulo Banchero is going to take I'm really high on Paulo. Like, I'm really liking what I'm seeing from him. I could see him taking, like, almost MVP conversation level jumps. Like, I feel like this is Paulo's breakout year. What is it, his third year in the league?
Yep, this
usually
would be
when
his
you see
third year.
That's usually when you see the huge leaps. Like, I'm trying to see him in, like, top 10, top 15 as caliber situations. Franz Wagner getting a lot better, too. That team is sneakily very, very good. They play a lot of defense. So that's a good team that can match up with the Celtics' high-power offense and maybe slow them down because the Celtics struggle with interior-type teams, and Paulo's getting a lot better at putting a lot more pressure on the rim, attacking the basket, using his size. And if the Orlando Magic go far, I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, so your sleeper team is the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, that's my sleeper team. Either them or the Pacers. But I if I had to put my hat on, I'm really liking the Magic. I'm really high on the Magic.
Okay, all
Did
right.
that to me.
Yeah.
Really. That was gonna be my team. He snagged him. I'm so upset.
Well, so you're like your team to beat would normally be the Celtics, but you said the Knicks, right?
Yeah.
You said okay.
The Celtics and the Knicks in the East are probably up there, but I want to name teams are a little bit more.
Oh,
Interesting
okay.
in
Have
there,
a
too.
variety of options.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you say the Knicks because they got Cat, or is that prior to Cat?
So I'm not high on. I'm actually incredibly low on Cat, but already the Knicks, I feel like they are a team that is built to match up with the Celtics. Not necessarily because of the Cat acquisition, but you look at OG Anunoby and the Mikal Bridges. The Celtics play like they have a lot of tall players and guards and a lot of switchability, and it looks like the Knicks are trying to copy that formula a little bit while riding on Jalen Brunson scoring a lot more. So I'm really interested in how that matchup will look.
Very interesting. I respect it. I was not expecting somebody to say Knicks, so I'm not too high on them like you are, but maybe I'll keep a keen eye on them this year for sure.
I could see them going far. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. All right.
It's fair. That's a fair take.
It's fair enough. Yeah. Hunter, your team.
Well, if you're not keen on seeing them go far, you're not gonna like my pick. I have the Knicks going to the finals this year and winning.
Winning.
Winning the finals.
Wow.
I know
Now that's
I've
a
had
hot
some
take.
crazy takes on here. They're re-signing OG Anunoby, extending him, yeah. Extending OG Anunoby, extending Jalen Brunson is just huge for the team. And they added Mikal Bridges, and they added Cat, which is just, their starting five is going to be crazy. It's going to be really good. The only thing I can see what could go wrong for this team is who gets the ball, because those guys are all going to want the ball in their hands at all times. But they also have Mitchell Robinson coming back from injury, so once he comes back, that team is going to be good, really good. They did lose Dante DiVincenzo and Isaiah Hartenstein and stuff, but
Yeah.
I think they found the other key parts. I think they replaced those guys with honestly better basketball players. So I think the Knicks come out of the East this year. I actually have the Knicks and the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't think the Celtics.
See, I love the respect to the Bucks.
I think the Knicks will get the 1 seed, and the Bucks and the Celtics will. The Celtics will have the 2, the Bucks will have the 3, and they'll end up facing off each other.
I think the Bucks at 2 is a wild take.
Very
Personally.
generous.
I don't know.
No, he had
I
the
think that's
Celtics.
a
I had
he had the
Celtics too.
Celtics two,
Celtics
Bucks
okay,
three.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's more respect. I was about to say Bucks at 2 seed that's pretty crazy.
Well, what do you think is the ideal matchup in the playoffs for the Knicks to make it a win in the championship? Then, who do you see them beating for it to be a win? Because I'm curious.
I'm gonna throw this. I think it's the Suns. I think the Suns bounce back this year and have a
The
good.
Suns and the
Man,
Ew.
wow.
Ew.
Kevin Durant, Devin Booker.
Ew.
This is almost like Brendan Don Levy type of takes.
I am going to say right now, I am
Who
a
else would come out of the West?
professional
do you
Devin
mean?
Booker hater.
What do you mean? Who else could come out the
I am
West?
not a big Devin Booker fan.
You have the Mavericks
by
again?
Any means.
Wow.
Bro, okay.
Ma-
Because you
Mavs
asked
is
who else could come
respectable.
out the West. The Suns aren't better than Denver. They aren't better than the Timberwolves, probably still.
Hey,
They
it's-
aren't better than the Thunder.
It's about getting hot at the right time.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Boom, boom,
I
boom.
just am not big on the
Dallas.
Thunder.
I got Dallas. Bro, what are you seeing from the Suns that made you think that, like,
I'm
okay,
just
this
not-
is their to get to the
They got-
finals?
They got butchered a
I
fat
think the
amount of
Suns-
times in the
I
season.
think the Suns could make it to the
The
finals.
only thing I saw
if
with
they
the
stay
Suns
healthy,
was Devin Booker in
they
the
can be in the
Olympics.
finals.
in the Olympics.
He was
I saw
hooping.
Devin Booker
He
in
was
the
hooping.
Olympics. He was hooping,
But that was a different type of role, though. That's not what he's
Yeah.
going to be playing in the NBA. He's playing as like a role player role in the Olympics. In the NBA, you're looking at that being like arguably your best player. Kevin Durant, obviously Kevin Durant's Kevin Durant. But then besides him, name their third best player.
I was going to say DeAndre Ayton, but
he's
he's a
calling you
Blazer
out.
now.
Aiton's
Ooh.
been gone. He just
Forgot
put up
that.
the roster for those who can't see. But like for real though, who's
I mean,
Chris Paul.
I'm looking up players here.
Bradley Beal?
Did you mention Bradley Beal? I mean,
I get.
Grayson Allen's been hooping.
Oh, man,
You
okay.
have to
Oh,
admit, he has been
legendary
hooping.
Buck,
The-
the legendary
so this-
Milwaukee
this-
Buck.
so this-
legend.
Look,
Grayson Allen.
Look, I actually like Devin Booker. He's a little bit of a front runner. He's annoying. He talks, but I like that energy. But bro, there's too many good
that's
teams
the issue.
in the West.
He talks all the mess, but he never
they just
backs it
can't
up.
back it up.
They don't.
I don't see that
They
happening.
can't win. He talks all of it, but he can never back it up with that team ever. You have
medal.
Kevin Durant, you have
Medal.
Bradley Beal.
Gold medal.
And then don't forget, they have a
Yeah, is he gonna
defensive
start
mind.
flexing that like Klay Thompson flexes his rings every time? he's gonna start doing.
No, he's got to get the Olympic tattoo. That's what he's got to do.
Yeah, no, I'm not with
Put
that
on his
Suns
shoulder,
take.
just-
I'm not with
If
that.
not
Alright.
the Suns, then I have the Nuggets.
Okay, see, that's a better
That's
take.
more, okay, I
That's
can
a
get
better
with that. I
take.
can get with that. Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I thought that's who you're gonna come out swinging with, and not the Suns, because
Only if they play the Lakers at some point. That's all I'm saying. As long
That's
as
fair.
as long as Jamal Murray can warm up against the Lakers.
shout out Laz and
Shout out.
Colin. But the team that I think is gonna be the team to beat is gonna be the Wolves. I mean, they got the what? You disagree?
I mean, they just
I mean,
they
I
just
really
get,
get rid of
they
Cat.
get
Just go.
well, they did
I
get a
still
decent
think that
haul.
they're
I
gonna be
forgot who
good.
it is because I still don't
They
watch
got DiVincenzo.
I was say Dante DiVincenzo.
DiVincenzo was
Hicks?
chirping at the Knicks
Knicks
bench
bench
too,
during
which
the-
was fun to
Feast the Nova
see.
Knicks,
But
the Nova
Didn't they
Knicks
get
will be
smacked
missed.
around by the Knicks when they just played them? But it's preseason.
yeah, it's
preseason.
preseason. I don't
Really
count
cares.
anything in preseason.
Never should.
But I just feel like Ant's his fire, his passion in that postseason loss really struck me. I think that's going to stick with that team throughout the whole season. And he's a bright spot in that team, especially pairing him up with Rudy Gobert, who's consistently a top 5 defender. Some people say he's a fraud, but I still think that he's one of the best defenders in the league. You pair him up with Edwards, dual skilled, and I think it's just going to be a great matchup. And I think that this year is going to be the year that they finally pull it through. He kind of reminds me of MJ with that type of disappointment that he had at the end. A lot of people compared him to MJ in the.
Yeah, because of looks, not
Yeah.
because of.
Hey,
Because
I'm
does
just saying the
strikingly look
passion
like
that he's
MJ a little
got.
bit.
The passion that he's got reminds me a lot of him. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, that's not a terrible take. The only problem I have with Edwards is he kind of reminds me of John Moran a little bit with how he dunks. He tries to dunk on anyone he can, and when it doesn't work out, then it just costs his team a possession at times. That's really the only thing I'd say I have against Ant.
Okay, so his dunking style, that's what you're putting against him.
Yeah, when he gets a little aggressive sometimes.
He can be
And
overly
then-
aggressive, which can
and then it
work
can-
for
yeah.
or against him, which that is probably.
And when it
that's-
works for him, it's awesome.
It's huge,
No, don't get
yeah.
me wrong. But when it doesn't work, then it's a problem because then it's a charging foul or it's a stupid error. He misses the dunk or something because he tries to just slam it through and he hits the back of the rim. It's something happens sometimes.
Yeah. Well, now I'd like us to dive a little bit into the Bucks. Do you guys think that they're gonna back up with Dame and Giannis this year in year 2? Do you think they're gonna be good, or you think they're gonna take a few steps back? I'll open it up to you guys, and then after this one, we'll probably have to move on to the next topic due to time.
I don't think they're going to bounce back.
You don't think they're gonna
They
bounce
still
back?
isn't Doc Rivers still their coach?
Yeah, Doc Rivers. But I'm saying
there's
if
your
Doc
reason.
Rivers,
There's
I
your
mean,
reason.
when he was like, I think it was like a few weeks of him coaching with the team, they had like a little bit of a run.
They're currently under 500 in the preseason. Don't get me wrong.
Preseason,
I
though.
don't
It's
like talking-
preseason.
I don't talk about. I usually don't say, "Oh, don't look at preseason," but this is a team that's supposed to be one of the best. You have arguably the best big man in the league in Giannis, besides Jokic. You got Damian Lillard, who is a little out of his prime. You got Middleton still when he's not injured, granted. So, but I don't see him really making any leaps here if they have Doc Rivers coaching, because they went under 500 last year with Rivers as their head coach. They
But-
completely collapsed.
I mean, that was also like a mid-season coach change, so you got to think about that. And this is like a full year that Dame and Giannis had
with
to
the
work
talent
with each
they have
other.
on that roster, and you go below 500 with the midseason coach change, I think that's still a problem that they didn't figure it out at some point, and they couldn't even figure out during the playoffs even.
Playoffs? You want to talk about playoffs?
All right. Well,
All right.
I see where you stand, Mikey. What about everybody else? Where do you guys think the Bucks are landing? Do you think they're gonna succeed this year? Not win a championship, because I don't think we're that ready. But
Unless they make a big in-season trade, I don't see them making a big push in the playoffs.
I would like to see a trade, but
Trades are
I just don't see it happening. I would really like to see Rivers away from this team after this season.
And with the
'Cause if he's
offseason
not,
they had
yeah.
as well, they didn't really do anything.
No,
in the offseason.
nothing really big.
I mean,
which
they
doesn't
got rid
really
of their
surprise
best
me.
player, Thanasis. So, I mean, their best player is no longer on the team. So, the season's over before it even
Sometimes your best
started.
player is a glue guy in the locker room.
I mean,
It's true.
Gary Trent Jr. and Torian Prince are great offseason additions to the team.
Who?
Ooh.
Sorry, I don't watch enough
Explain
basketball.
yourself. Explain
Like,
yourself.
genuinely, I don't know who they are.
You don't know
watch,
who Gary Trent Jr. is?
I don't watch.
Oh, you don't
I don't
watch
watch
that's fair.
basketball as
Gary
much as I
Trent
used
Jr.
to
is just
anymore.
like a super known guy.
I mean,
so.
he averaged 13 points last season with the Raptors.
pretty solid.
I mean, he's a good. I think will he start?
Yeah, he should.
He should
Yeah,
start.
he is.
I
What
don't
is-
know
what
if he'll
is-
start over Dame.
He'll be our starting shooting guard.
Okay.
Shooting guard?
Yeah. I mean, and Torian Prince was a pretty good Laker. I don't know how much he averaged last season. I'd have to look it up. But, I mean, he was a pretty good addition, too, to the team.
He might be a 20-point scorer then if he's away from Coach LeBron,
Yeah.
Coach James.
I mean, okay, so here's my thing looking at the so to build off of what you're going or did you have more?
No, you can go ahead.
So, okay, so like he was about to say, Gary Trent Jr., what we were lacking the most last year was good shooting guard play. Our shooting guard position is really bad. I like our rookies and our young guys are getting better. We've been seeing some of them in the preseason. We got some good guards there. But Gary Trent Jr., he can put up points offensively. We have our two main offensive scorers. Dame, ideally he's 25-point scorer. Giannis, he can put up 30, 40 any given night. It's Giannis.
Double-doubles and
We know
everything.
that.
Double-doubles, maybe
What we were
triple-double.
mainly looking at is the bench depth, trying to get it back to how it was when we won that championship with all the bench contributors. And I feel like our bench took a big leap, and we got a nice starting shooting guard. The big question marks for me personally with the Bucks would be Chris Middleton's health and how he can come back
healthy.
and look.
Yes, need this
And
team
then Brook
healthy.
Lopez is looking like he's really starting to lose a step. I mean, we're not expecting him to be insane, but he's not the defender that he once was, where he's like.
Yeah, not even 2 years ago. He's not even the same.
How old is he now? Is he like 35?
He's up there. in
Yeah, he's
age.
getting up there.
and he's always been a slow-footed big. That's tough. But here's my thing with the Bucks: we match up amazing with everybody else except for literally the team we played last year. The Pacers have our number because of the way that they play. It's a super fast team, a lot of switchability, things like that. When you have a slow-footed big like Brook Lopez, that can get in the way. But against the Celtics struggle against good interior teams. When we were injured the year before last, I believe, when we played the Celtics in the second round and lost, Giannis was doing his thing that season, postseason. Middleton was injured, but we still took them to 6 or 7. I forgot what that series was.
7.
Yeah.
But we met every other team in the East. It seems like they're building to kind of match with the Celtics. So all of them don't have a great interior presence. Karl Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson, their interior defense on the Knicks is not great. So the other big East teams, we can beat them. Now, the Cavs are interesting. They have some good bigs down there. But I feel like if the Bucks can lock in during the regular season, Dame goes back to – he doesn't need to go back to the 30-plus leading the league in scoring type Dame. But if he can get us a nice 25, mid-20s, maybe low – like 20 to 30 every other game, then I can see the Bucks making a real push in the playoffs if we just don't run into our boogeyman at this point.
All
Doc
right.
Rivers.
Yeah,
Oh,
Doc Rivers is.
too. I ain't gonna let that.
Yeah.
That's my big.
Doc
I think the consensus in the room
boogeyman
is he's got to
Doc
go.
Rivers.
Yeah, I think everybody's got to admit he's got to go. I feel like our two biggest flaws are him, and we got to stay healthy. I feel like
Yeah,
if we
health
get
and
those
Doc.
two things, if we get
Literally
those two
the
things
Doc.
down, yeah.
And Brook Lopez needs to stop
Yeah, and
shooting.
Brook
30-foot
Lopez,
threes.
yes.
Yeah, I think I agree with him though. I do remember seeing a lot about how the bench depth was not great. The Bucks,
Yeah.
their bench was god awful. I think it was bottom in the league at some way, shape, or form, and they were relying on their stars. And yes, Giannis is incredible. Dame is losing his step a little bit. He's 30. He's getting up there in age himself. He's still a good. He's still a good point guard, but not saying he isn't. But ultimately, when you're just relying on your stars in the NBA, that tends to
Yeah, it's not going to
just
work
ask
well.
the Lakers.
You got to rely on
Ask the Lakers with James
yeah.
and Davis.
You got to rely on your sixth man as well sometimes too. So if you don't have that, it's not really going to look well. But from what I'm hearing, it's like 50-50 with the room with how the Bucks are going to do this season. So we're going to move on. With that being said, into our next topic, which is Hawks and hockey, and little bit different. The Sabres said that themselves they are a playoff team. They have it's pretty wild to me that they said that, but especially because they have a drought of 13 years of the postseason, and they started the season on a slope where they lost back-to-back games against the Devils in Prague and stomped the Stanley Cup champs, the Panthers, 5-2. So it's a little bit interesting with this team. Do you guys believe that this is going to be their year to make the playoffs, or do you feel like it's just going to be the same old Sabres?
Sabres have been cursed.
This- yeah,
The
it's-
Sabres have been cursed. It's been 13 years since they've made the playoffs. No team that says they're a playoff team is a playoff team. You don't need to say you're a playoff team. You just
You show
are
it,
a
yeah.
playoff
You show
team.
it on the ice. You don't say it in an interview.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, they beat the Panthers, but that's one regular season game. They're 1-3
And they're only-
currently on the season. That was their first win.
First win.
The Sabres, I don't think are going anywhere. And if they are a playoff team, they're a fringe playoff team that gets bounced in the first round.
Yeah, I think
100%. I think that wild card team that will just get just steamrolled by whoever the one seed is.
I'm actually curious, who is on the roster? I can't name a single Buffalo.
They
Dylan
got John-
Cousins, Alex Touch.
John Quinn,
John
JJ
Quinn,
Paterka. So they have some like respectable players, but they don't have like a lot of like star power. They have prospects and young potential, but they don't have
Yeah, they
like
don't
now
have it.
power.
Yeah.
And in that Panthers game, they had like that was their best offensive performance where
The problem is that their offense is strictly their wing. Like there's nothing from
Yeah.
the center. Dylan Cousins has nearly 20 minutes of time on ice per game in 4 games and no points to show. Not an assist, not a goal. It's Alex Touch and the wingers that are putting up any sort of production. I mean, they're second line center. Okay, cool. Yeah, whatever. It's second line. You know, when your guy that's putting up nearly 20 minutes of time on ice per game is not producing any sort of points whatsoever, I think there's definitely a change that needs to be made there. And I mean, Touch leads in goals, assists, and points.
Yeah.
Their entire offense is him. There's some defenders that have some assists in there, of course, and maybe a goal here and there. It's a mediocre defense overall. And, I mean, the 5-2 blowout, congratulations. You beat currently the second worst defense, tied second worst defense in the NHL. And
I don't
goals
think that'll be
and
for
goals,
long.
and goals against per game right now. Through the 4 games, they're 30th. They're tied with the Oilers. They're 1-3.
Yeah,
The
but
defense has been pitiful so far for the Panthers. And ultimately, congratulations, you won by 3 in 1 game at home against a team that's played nothing but road games.
something that I gotta say that now that you brought up the Oilers record, before I throw it to Hunter, the Oilers last year they didn't start off too well either. They started, I believe it was 2-9. They were
it
on
wasn't-
like
it
a
wasn't great.
9-game losing streak or something like that for quite a bit, and then they
Made the
made
Stanley
it.
Cup.
Yeah, they made it pretty far in the postseason. So I wouldn't say that like early games really dictate how the whole season is gonna go.
But that's just all we got
Yeah,
right now,
that's
unfortunately.
as of right now. Yeah, it is.
You know,
so it's still
It's not-
super early.
So it'll sound stupid mid-season when the Oilers are like up in the playoff contention probably. But
yeah.
right now, as we speak, the Oilers and the Panthers defense looks abysmal.
But last year, did the Oilers come out and have to say in preseason that they are a playoff team?
I don't remember. That was like a year ago.
But also, like, who asked that question?
uh,
Like, what's the context of this? Was a reporter?
It was like a
asking-
postseason. Yeah, it was or not a postseason. It was a post-game interview, and I can't remember if it was Lindy Ruff or if it was one of the players that they interviewed, and they said that after the 5-2 win. And I think it was supposed to like boost their morale or whatever. But I mean, I'll
the
throw
Buffalo
it to Hunter
Sabres, it's hard.
before I get into some other facts about that Florida game. So Hunter, what are your thoughts on this team, the Sabres?
All I'm gonna say is it's early. It's really
Real early, yeah.
I mean, you can't judge a team off its first 4 games. I mean, they are 1-3. I mean, and I was looking at some of their off-season moves. They made one trade to get some more depth, adding Ryan McLeod and Tyler Tullio.
And I also got to mention further off-season acquisitions. Lindy Ruff, the coach, they did get Lindy
it's true.
Ruff back, so I think that was something that they were also hoping was going to bring them back into a playoff kind of push. So
Yeah, but I just don't see this team going far. I mean, they are on a 13-year drought of not making the playoffs. I mean, they're starting 1-3. Yes, you beat the former Stanley Cup champions, but I mean, come on, it's the 4th game. I mean, anything can happen, but I just do not see this team taking the next step to the playoffs. I think they gotta I think they got to get some young talent and build from that. That's how they start their push.
And that's what they have been doing. They just gotta push
They gotta
their
develop them.
prospects and their young potential forward. They gotta develop them, like you said, Mikey. Yeah.
Maybe wait another 13 years, I guess.
Okay, I wouldn't say 13 years. I would say within the next 5 years, they're probably going to break the drought. I mean,
that's what they
droughts
said
are
7
meant to be
years ago.
broken. Droughts are meant to be broken. Like the Seattle Mariners, they had a 20-year drought and they broke it. So 13, I think, is doable. Maybe this year it might not. Who knows? Mason, your thoughts?
I mean, we can keep saying the same thing over and over. It's early on, it's early on, it's early on. But sometimes with certain teams, you can kind of just tell. And them getting off to this cold of a start and having the history of ungreatness, it's kind of hard for me to just go out on a limb and be like, oh, yeah, they're just going to magically turn it around and be great all of a sudden. You know, it's cool to believe in your team. Obviously, they're not going to go out there and say, oh, yeah, we're just going to miss the playoffs again for the 14th year in a row. Fans don't come to the games. So you kind of have to say that this is going to be your year. But I think it's kind of one of those things where the meme where they're smiling on the outside with the mask and then crying under it.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of that where it's like, oh, yeah, guys, this is our year, totally. But, I mean, there's, 82 games in the hockey season, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of time, but I don't think this last game is enough to just show people, oh, yeah, we're a completely different team in the last 13 years.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is true, but they definitely did improve from their Devils Prague game. I mean, the defense wasn't there for that. They had zone entries problems, so and they fixed that quite a bit against Florida. Granted, Florida did not have their starting goalie, and they didn't have two of their top players, Tkachuk being one of them, but
Chuck
still.
was out? I did
Tkachuk
not know
was
that.
out, yes. I believe it was his brother, though, not the one that you're thinking of.
Oh,
So,
I was
yeah.
about- I was
think it
about
was
to say.
Matthew Tkachuk, yeah. But the offense was the most cohesive it has been in a long time, so I think that's something to look into. And they came back from a 1-0 deficit, so I feel like that's also something to keep in mind with. So maybe it is a different team with Lindy Ruff back at the helm of being coach. And we still have not seen the best of Joseph Quinn yet. So I feel like when you get the best of Joseph Quinn along with the proper zone entries, good defense, I think that this team is something that could potentially make a push later on in the season. So maybe the injuries play a ploy into their win, but only time will tell. All I got to say is every game counts. Jacob?
Yeah, I was just reading an article right now, published yesterday by Scott Thompson, saying Sabres captain Rasmus Dahlin fights teammate during heated moment of practice.
Awesome.
I'm watching the video. It's not a really good look when your team captain is fighting other players on the team.
The team captain?
Yeah,
Rasmus
I'm
Dahlin.
watching a
Yeah,
scrum
I'm watching
right
it
now
right now.
between
He's
Well, I
they're
mean,
throwing
okay,
haymakers as we
hold on.
speak.
Michael Jordan used to fight like Steve Kerr and stuff like that back there. That might just be that killer mentality.
Maybe it's a
true.
morale.
That is
Maybe it's a
true.
morale choice. You know.
comparing the
Get the
Sabres
boys going.
captain to arguably the greatest basketball player of all time.
I like it. You know what? Mason's on to
It's
something
that
here.
fire. It's that mentality though.
Sometimes you got to knock some sense into him. You know.
I'll make the edit of the half face. The half
Yeah,
face.
maybe
Michael Jordan
when
edit.
maybe when you're a championship contender, not a team that's on a 13-year drought.
All right.
No, the whole team is the MJ crying meme right now.
All right. Well, let's also swing into Utah, the Utah Hockey Club. They're on a pretty good start to the season. I mean, yeah, we could say the same thing. It's only been 4 games, but still, I mean, 3-1 for a team that relocated, I think is pretty good. They're sitting second in the Central Division, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts on the club. Personally, I like the way that they're playing, but I'm gonna throw it to Mason. What do you think about the Utah Hockey Club? Their 3-1 start. They did just come off of a loss, which is
Shutout
unfortunate.
loss as well. To
Yeah.
the Devils. Devils are a topic, aren't they?
Yeah.
They've beaten the Sabres
They're in the
twice.
Metro.
So
So
but they've
they're
beaten the Sabres twice, and now they've beaten the only
Oh,
loss that the
yeah.
hockey club has.
yeah. That's actually just
Yeah.
ironic. That's ironic timing.
I mean, as we were saying on the last show when we were talking about them, it's good to get off to a hot start. I'm not sure how like historically good the team they just lost to is. So I can't really speak to if that's like a panic button type of loss or if that's just like okay, you lost to another decent to good team.
This year, their offense is it's pretty good.
They're starting to click like they did 2 years ago, which is it's very good to see. And
New
I
Jersey
think they're
Devils we're talking about.
Yeah.
and I think that they're starting to finally solidify their goalie, which last year was an abysmal trait. So it's
inconsistency and just
yeah.
it's not fun to watch for them.
Yeah, but I mean, looking at it, starting out 3-1, as a team that just moved and is trying to make a statement for what this new culture that they're trying to set, being a new quote unquote team, this is a great way to start out. So as if you're looking at it, you have to be at least somewhat impressed with what you're seeing. Any team starting out with a hot start, you have to give somewhat of respect. It's just a matter of if they can maintain that and what this will say for their future and what that's looking like. I wouldn't be surprised if they can make at least a playoff push starting out this hot, if they can continue to maintain at least somewhat of this level of success. I'm still learning hockey, so there might be some things that I'm missing out on and that I'm not seeing where it's like, okay, there's been some question marks with this and question marks with that. But bare minimum, at bare minimum, you have to admit they're off to a good start.
Yeah,
So,
they
100%.
they were beating good teams like the Rangers and the Islanders.
And the
Granted,
Blackhawks.
man.
And the Blackhawks
okay, the Blacks,
are so good.
the Blackhawks, I wouldn't.
Pete
that one.
Mrazek is such a good goalie. Oh my gosh!
I mean,
love
when
him so
you
much.
look at
He
the
actually- he's-
when you
he's
look at the
been-
rankings, though, Utah should have lost that game. When you look at the rankings,
Let's not talk about it. Please stop.
They should have lost to the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
they should have. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
should have if our defense didn't collapse and our goalie didn't let up 4 goals and then they got an open goal later down the road.
As a team trying to find their identity, this is a great start for them. You
Yes.
know,
100%.
the coach and the captain needs to win the locker room, and winning makes that a whole lot easier. It's hard to develop a culture with a losing team.
And
I think they had. Correct me if I'm wrong. Don't they have the first female head coach in NHL history?
no, that is the Kraken.
That is the Kraken.
The Kraken have it, yes.
I forgot if it was Utah
not
or
head coach.
Seattle.
No, are you saying
No.
head coach?
Yeah.
Oh
No,
no,
no.
not head coach. No,
Oh. Well.
the Kraken don't have the first
She's
female head
the
coach.
first female coach. In
Yes.
The NHL.
Yeah,
okay.
She's
I don't.
not
I don't
leading
believe
the-
there is currently a female head coach in the NHL.
I just remember. I didn't remember if it was Seattle or Utah. I had to clarify.
the color
I didn't
scheme
remember.
got you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, I got you.
And I thought I was watching Utah and she was on the screen. I don't know if you guys played them or not.
All right. The last thing I'll touch up on for this topic is that this team is a very young team. I mean, they're also their offense is pretty nice to look at. Having 5 players with 4 or more points, and having Connor Ingram put up a 3-0 win streak with only an .874 save percentage is also something good to look at. And as I mentioned, the age, the captain Clayton Keller. He came in clutch in the overtime win against the Rangers to maintain the brief undefeated record, and the youth with the power with Mark Keller with Keller, who's 26, tied for the NHL scoring lead through Saturday's games. Dylan Gunther, 21, has a league-leading 5 goals, and Logan Cooley, who's 20, is tied for the league lead with 5 assists. So the start that they have is very interesting.
hot.
Yeah,
It's
nice
also
to have.
very, it's kind of been like mid because they've scored 16 goals, but they've given up 14. So obviously, all their wins have been I think they've scored
2 of them
4
have
plus
been
goals.
OT.
Yeah.
2 of them have been OT wins. The 2 New York wins, and then the win against the Blackhawks is their only regulation win so far. And then obviously the shutout is their only loss.
Yeah, and the shutout was with their backup goalie too, or not their starting goalie, not Ingram. So
It wasn't Connor Ingram.
no, it was not Connor Ingram. So that's also something to take in effect. So
yeah.
maybe if
That's
Connor
why
Ingram
I
was in
wasn't
there,
seeing
maybe
him.
it was something different. But we're gonna move on to our next topic, which new face, same team, or with the Amari Cooper trade and the firing of Robert Saleh last week. I had it planned for last week, so we didn't get to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it here. We're mainly going to focus on the Amari Cooper trade, though, considering that just happened a few days ago. So,
We're gonna talk about the Devontae Adams to the Jets too, or no?
We did yesterday,
yeah,
unfortunately.
that was on
okay,
the
okay.
Tuesday edition.
Gotcha.
So primarily just on Amari Cooper, which
Okay,
I
I'm
think
cool with that too. That
yeah,
works, that
I
works.
think that this is going to be huge for Buffalo.
100%.
And I would really like to hear what you guys think. Is Amari Cooper going to be the new Stephon Diggs in Buffalo? I know that's saying a lot. But I mean, when you got a quarterback like Josh Allen and you got the route running skills of Amari Cooper,
When your
Anything can
quarterback
happen.
is no longer Deshaun Watson, the ceiling
no.
is
ceiling is in.
Yeah.
Is I mean, there's
Or we
yeah,
should
there's
we should
almost
say Browns Deshaun Watson.
Yes.
Houston Deshaun was at least
that was something different.
capable.
Well,
he was phenomenal.
honestly, Deshaun Watson might be a better person than a football player at this point, but how bad he's playing.
I mean, quoting Stephen A. Smith,
Wow.
Deshaun Watson's just been so awful. I think you could arrest him, and I'd be okay with it for how awful he's been.
Whoa.
Wow.
Quoting Stephen A. Smith.
Wow. All right. Well,
But no, Amari Cooper into the Bills, I think it's a great addition for the team. It's what they need. I mean, they had Keon Coleman, Mac Hollins,
Khalil Shakir.
Khalil
Yeah.
Shakir. I mean,
Yeah.
just adding another big
I think they
name to that wide
just
receiver
released
room.
MVS to grab
Yeah, they
more
did.
cap space for Amari Cooper as well.
Well, they had to open up a roster
So welcome
spot.
to the Jets,
Yeah.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Woo!
Oh my. Yeah.
man, he's gonna-
the New York Packers. Yeah.
But to answer your question, at least from my point of view, people were like I think people were like wincing at the idea of like Amari Cooper being a replacement for Stephon Diggs. But if you really look at how they both play, it's almost kind of the exact same archetype. I'd say that, in my opinion at least, I think I kind of like Amari Cooper on deep balls a little better than I do Diggs, at least in like his current to last year iterations. And I mean, even last year, Amari Cooper got 1,000+ yards with, and if you remember anything from last year, the QB situation for them was all over the place. Eventually, Joe Flacco came in, and he was doing his thing or whatever else. But they had, I think they had 3 different starting QBs that year.
Yeah.
I think
Jacoby Brissett was in there.
It might have been 4.
It might have been
I think
4.
they had,
Actually,
I think they had
because
one for.
It
a
was that
different
one
game.
dude. It was that.
Was he? Is it the XFL quarterback that I'm thinking of? Was it?
yeah, I'm
was it
pretty
PJ
sure.
Walker?
I think it was. I think it
Really?
might have been
I
actually.
can't remember, but they had.
But yeah, I
the
think
QB
they had him
situation-
for one game, and he started one whole game.
Huh.
And
But I mean, looking at Amari Cooper, he is a perennial like 1,000-yard receiver, fringe top 10 receiver, in my opinion. Now, right now, there's a whole bunch of I feel like there's like 15 top 10 caliber receivers in the league right now. So it's really, really tough. But seeing Amari Cooper now going from Deshaun Watson, in my opinion, the worst starter in QB in the league right now today, I would take Drake May over Deshaun Watson, how he's playing. I'd easily take Vanilla Vic over Deshaun Watson. all the other bad quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson is worse, in my opinion. Going from that to, at worst, the 3rd best quarterback in the league, that is a huge jump. And Amari Cooper, he's proven time and time again that he is he's almost QB proof. And having a good QB, that should only build on that. So I expect the Bills to make big waves this season with that acquisition.
Yeah, I think it almost solidifies them winning the division.
I mean, yeah, he's an amazing addition. Easily their best receiver by far, and no question about it. But saying that he's Stephon Diggs level,
Oh, I'm
I
just
don't-
saying for like that
Hold
Buffalo
on, this
role.
year, is he not
I
better than
don't-
Stephon Diggs?
I
so
mean,
here's
way.
here's what I have to
He's
say
this
about it.
year?
I don't think so.
Talent-wise, he might have it, but I think it's more personality. Stephon Diggs proved it like on the sidelines. Everyone would call him tantrums, but if you really looked at it and you weren't just listening to what the media was telling you, genuinely he just wanted to win. He wanted to win bad. There's a reason he stood on the sidelines, or he stood there when the Chiefs were celebrating their AFC Championship victory, because he wanted to win badly. And he expressed that on the sidelines. He expressed that to his teammates. He expressed that to coaches, Josh Allen, whoever. So when they weren't winning, he was infuriated. Everyone said, oh, it's because he didn't get enough targets. That's why he's complaining. That's not why. It's because this team was losing and he wasn't playing well. Stephon Diggs would 100% rather have the worst game of his entire career and get no targets at all and win the game than go for 20 catches, 500 yards, and 5 touchdowns and lose.
That's the difference with Cooper.
Here-
And
Here's my thing,
and
though, with
Amari
that-
Cooper to me would be okay if he had a good game and they still lost rather
You
than
think that?
I think he'd be more okay with it than Diggs. I don't think he's going to be throwing tantrums and acting like a diva like Diggs was kind of.
Well, yeah, nah, that wouldn't be the case. But here's my thing.
Cooper, personality-wise, is 100% different than Stephon Diggs. In my opinion, he's still a little worse than Diggs.
If
in my
Amari Cooper
opinion.
was a diva, he'd be having fits right now. But the Browns.
Oh, he did.
and,
He
yeah,
was shaking his head when he was hearing the play calls in a huddle with the Browns. So
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
he,
I'd be shaking my head.
I'm
too
not even sure if I've ever been
Yeah,
shot Amari
if my-
Cooper
if my
for wasting
quarterback
my
was
life.
Deshaun
that
Watson.
he can't get me.
Yeah.
Here's my
mean-
thing though, with what you're saying, I understand it, but we literally heard Josh Allen himself, and we knew he didn't say any names, but we all know who the shot was at. He said it's good when they were talking about his receiving core right now. He said it's good to have guys who aren't being selfish and caring about like their own. This is not verbatim, by the way. I'm paraphrasing, but the gist of it was he was talking about how it's good to have not nobody in there who's tripping off not getting enough targets or enough catches in their own personal stats. That tells me, as us both not being people who are in that locker room, Josh Allen himself mentioning that tells me that it's not just a media thing. When the quarterback himself, unless we're just going to call him a liar about what he's seeing and hearing in his locker room, based off of that right there, all I can assume is, to some extent, that was going on. Now, I love Stephon Diggs. I'm super high on Stephon Diggs. Well, not this year. I feel like he's definitely regressed seeing him on the Texans.
yeah, and that could be
he's
just
probably the
because
second
too many
best
mouths to
receiver.
feed on that offense too.
That's true, too.
Rest in peace, Nico
But
Collins.
I really like Amari
Love
Cooper a
Nico.
lot. I feel like if Stephon Diggs is up here, Amari Cooper is like right here. Stephon Diggs is probably better. This year, it's a little bit of a question mark. I'd have to see a little bit more. But Amari Cooper, it's not a step down at any means. And at the bare minimum, it's a huge step up from Keon Coleman.
That's what I'm saying. It's nice to
and-
have like an actual certified, reliable receiver.
And with him being a veteran too, I feel like he'll also be able to really help develop a lot of those young guys like Keon Coleman and maybe help Mac
Yeah.
Collins a little bit. Maybe elevate from a bench receiver to maybe getting a little bit more reps later down in his career for sure.
Hunter, what are your thoughts on the Amari Cooper acquisition?
I think it's a great addition to their team. I mean, they've looked all right to start off this year. They're 4-2. I think Amari Cooper adds a pretty good air raid to their offense. I mean, I wouldn't doubt Shakir and Keon Coleman. I think they're very good wide receivers. It's just they don't get the ball as much. I mean, I don't know. I just think Cooper is just a great addition. I mean,
Yeah.
I like listening to what these guys have to say. I think he's a good addition.
Yeah.
And I think kind of what Mason's saying, he won't be like a Stephon Diggs type level of just, whining. But same thing. I mean, he wanted to win, and now he's on the Texans, which I do not think the Texans are going to go to the Super Bowl, but he's on the Texans, and he looks to be playing good. So I think maybe it's a win for both teams right now.
Yeah. And I see my stance on this is that I think that he won't put up like a Stephon Diggs certified right away first game he plays.
Or like the first
But-
season Diggs had when he was like, I
Yeah,
think he
no.
led the league in receiving yards.
I think he
his
did, yeah.
First
He had a
year in
very
Buffalo.
impressive first season with Buffalo, but I feel like Amari Cooper to the Bills is going to be like Hollywood Brown to Arizona. I think it's going to be a nice transition. He's not going to be like a number one wide receiver in the league like Diggs was when he first got there, but he's going to be like a top 10, potentially top 5 within a few weeks. And I feel like his rate is just going to go up and up from there. So, yeah, like you said, Mason, he's been a pretty consistent receiver throughout the past few years, even going from quarterback to quarterback, certifying himself as quarterback proof. And I also think it's going to be fun, a more fun matchup for divisional games now that the Jets have Devontae Adams. It's going to be fun to see which receiver is going to do better in their new environment. So that's going to be a little bit fun to see. But we're going to move on into our final topic due to time, prime in time. And with this topic, I basically gave each of you guys a team to choose from, or a team, and you have to choose a player from that team in history to help them make a playoff push. So, Mason, you have the Charlotte Hornets. Hunter has the Pistons. Jacob, you have the Spurs. I have the Memphis Grizzlies. And Mike, you have the Portland Trailblazers. So I'm very curious to see who you guys have. I'm going to start it out with Hunter. Who'd you pick?
So just because we're kind of short on time, I'm just going to try to keep this short so everyone can get a chance to speak. I'm going to pick Chauncey Billups for the Pistons. This Pistons team is very young, and they lack a lot of defense and offense, which is basically what the NBA is. But they have a lot of talent, and I know they can be a good team. It's just they got to put the right, pieces together. But Chauncey Billups had leadership. He was clutch. He had offensive IQ, and he was a pretty good defender. So I would add Chauncey Billups to this Pistons team, and maybe they can make the playoffs.
Maybe.
Perchance.
See, it's
Hey,
surprising.
Detroit sports is up. So
They are up.
Who knows?
They are on the up and up.
Who knows this year with the Pistons?
I'm really surprised. You were talking about defense. I'm really surprised you didn't say Dennis Rodman. That is.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have that leadership kind of role, but
I really don't know what this Pistons team needs right now, dude.
yeah, they need a lot of
They
stuff.
need
I
a
would say
lot.
they've
Yeah.
needed a lot for
They may
many,
need to
many
get out
years.
of Detroit, go somewhere else.
Relocate just to get a new name. Mikey, your player?
So I had a few ideas in. I originally thought this was going to be not in franchise, and I was going to say Tim Duncan. And you can move Jeremy Grant up to the small forward position and put Duncan at the 4. But since it's in the franchise, another guy I wanted to do was Bill Walton, but they already got DeAndre Ayton. So I'm going to go with Clyde Drexler and replace Denny Andvita. How do you say that name? Oh, my goodness. Avdia. I don't know how you say it.
Avdia?
It's very hard. That's a very weird last name. I can't really
He's like
pronounce it.
Advia or something.
I'm definitely botching it, I feel like. But I'd say Clyde Drexler for sure.
That's a safe pick. Yeah,
I mean, arguably, besides maybe Damian Lillard.
Well, Damian
best-
Lillard's still playing, so
yeah,
you can't.
But I'm just saying, like, arguably in their franchise history,
Oh, well,
besides
yeah.
Lillard, best player
yeah,
available.
is Drexler. Yeah, Jacob, who you got for the Spurs?
The Spurs, if they want to make a playoff push, I say they got to add Hall of Fame player, 15-time All-Star, 15-time All-NBA, Tim Duncan.
No way.
I think they got to play him at the four.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Yeah. Absolutely.
No, how good Tim Duncan was, man.
Oh, Tim Duncan, bro.
Yep. No, I put the guy in 21 again. I want to see. We're getting prime Tim Duncan.
Yep, you're getting prime Tim Duncan
So we're
in this
not going to see
case.
48-year-old Tim Duncan lacing him up.
No.
In 2015.
Yeah. No, I think if Tim Duncan laces him up for this Spurs team, I think Spurs got a halfway all right shot to make the playoffs.
And that would be incredible to see him and
Wembanyama.
Wemby.
That
Oh
would
my
be-
gosh,
That would be
dude.
insane.
With Chris Paul at the 1, too.
I think
Okay, Chris
if
Paul's
you're
the
getting
one
if you're getting
sticking.
prime Tim Duncan in that case, I
He's a
think
good
it could
pass
be
first
championship
guy.
worthy.
That's true.
It could be championship worthy because I didn't get to mention it earlier, but my sleeper MVP is Wemby. So I think I really like that pick. I
that's fair.
mean, obviously it's Tim Duncan, but
I
still,
don't know about
having
DeMar
him-
DeRozan.
I'm curious to
Get
see what-
out of here, bro.
I'm really curious to see what Mason has to say.
Yeah, Mason?
His bag seems deep.
The Hornets, there's not a lot of great options there, but I feel like looking at the options, they are lucky enough to have one option that directly works. Now, his prime wasn't on the Hornets, but he was still pretty good on the Hornets. He got drafted there, but I got to go with Alonzo Mourning. The Hornets need interior presence. They have literally none. Like, looking at the roster, when I searched up the roster, like, I had to scroll for a while before I saw, like, a decent big man, like a name I knew at the big man position. Alonzo Mourning, in his prime, was averaging 3.9 blocks a game. That is, like, as much or more than Wemby. Like, that is right up there in that type of territory. And then, now, this is on the lowest sample size possible with, like, 0.1 attempts per game, but it was a different time. It was, like, in 2001. He shot 33% from 3 on point. Now, imagine him training and maybe learn to shoot the 3 a little bit, maybe trying to stretch out the floor. That shows that he kind of somewhat can in an age where that didn't happen. Who knows what could happen with that? But just based off how he plays, he can get you 20 points, be a lob threat for LaMelo, offer some defensive help. He'll be a good player for them.
Are you sure you didn't want Muggsy Bogues?
I'm good. I'm all right.
Replace LaMelo.
All right. Well,
Can we consider Kobe?
Kobe is a Hornet?
He was drafted to the Hornets, yeah.
oh my gosh. That's
Yeah, he didn't play a single
He's
game for the Hornets.
ashamed.
Doesn't
that's like
count.
saying
Kobe was
saying
drafted to the Hornets.
Yeah,
never
he was
was
drafted to the
immediately
Hornets,
traded.
but he wanted to be in a bigger market, so they traded him to the Lakers.
all right. Well, the pick is in, so it's too late anyway. But I don't know if that would have been
Yeah,
counted
I don't think we would
anyways.
have counted that. He
But
never played for him. No.
For For Memphis, I would have chose Marc Gasol. It seems cliche and a little cheeky considering he retired
Zach
in
Randolph.
January, but I think if you put him in his prime with this current team and John Morant, I think that they could have a season reminiscent to the 2022-23 season. But that's going to do it for us here on 91.7 The Edge, WSUW Whitewater, Wednesday edition of Hawk Talk. Hope you have a wonderful day and enjoy the music back at the station. Have a good one.